Hello, it's Jennifer from heysealemon. If you've been following my channel, you know that I have a pen addiction. The addiction is real, and so is the need to organize them. In this video, I'll show you how I organize all of them and how you can make this DIY pen holder wall storage. A lot of you ask, what are those things in my background? And those are my paint holders. And since I already have those set up, I wanted to make my pen holders follow in a same modular system. I do have a tutorial for those, and if you want to learn how to make them, you can check that video out right here, and I will also put that in the video description below. There's also a lot of other ideas on how to organize your craft and art supplies in that video. Those paint holders are made out of PVC pipe couplings, and I thought about using the same material for the pen holders, but it turns out that using a mailing tube is actually cheaper, and I can make it into the size that I want, and it's also easier to cut. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to my channel, heysealemon. I make new videos every week, and hit that like button if you like this type of video. And if there's anything you want to see on this channel, leave it in a comment below. I love reading your requests, and let's get into it. To fit the majority of my pens, I went with a mailing tube that is 2 inches in diameter and 36 inches in length. And you can choose any size that you think will fit your pens the best. I removed the cap and then used one of my pens to determine the length of the holder. All pens come in different lengths, but I went with a size that allowed about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch to stick out. So I'm going to measure out 4.5 inch sections on the tube. And wrapped removable tape around the left of each mark so that I have an even guide to cut along. If you don't mind uneven cuts, you don't have to do this, but I am nerdy like that and I want them to be straight. I repeated that step, measuring out 4.5 inch sections along the entire tube. And turns out a 36 inch mailing tube is actually not that size, and the end turned out a little bit longer, so I just used that longer section for the longer pens. I then cut along the marks that I made along the tape with a utility knife. I found the best method if you are cutting with this is to go in short, slow, small pokes with the knife. When I would try to cut in a continuous straight line or too fast, I found the edges turned out jagged, so I just stuck with this method. Ask for help if you need someone to hold it while you cut, and just be careful while you're cutting this. I continued cutting the rest of the sections in the same way, and this one tube gave me 7 4.5 inch sections plus one that was about 5 inches long. I decided to cut up one more tube in the same way so that I could have 16 sections total. Then remove the tape, and if there's any scraps sticking out, you can either peel it off or cut it off. So here are my 16 tubes, and from here I was figuring out what kind of shape to make with them. You can try like a flower shape, it's really up to you, but I went with this diamond kind of shape with 4 of the tubes. This way they can be modular and I can figure out a different design on my wall if I want to, either separate or together. Now to glue them in the shape, I used some industrial strength adhesive just to be safe so that pens aren't falling off my wall, but because these are paper tubes, I think you could get away with using hot glue as well. To make this an even shape, I glued 2 together at a time, then let that dry in place just a little so that they are sticking together, and then glued the 2 sections together, making an even square or diamond. I repeated the same step on the rest of the tubes and let them all dry. For the bit that hangs on the wall, I did consider using the tube cap, but as you can see, I tried it out and it just did not convince me. I didn't feel like this was a secure holding, so I skipped that and I used a small sawtooth hanger instead. You'll want to use the glue that is made for metal and glue that on the end of one of the tubes. I made sure to turn it inward so that the holder would sit flush on the wall, and placed it to where it would hang in that diamond shape. I did that to the rest of the holders, and now that they are all dry, here is what they look like. And just to give you another idea, you don't have to put these on the wall. You could skip the hanger and just place them on your desk like this, and they will still function as a pen holder. To hang them on my wall, I marked the placement with a pencil and hammered in a nail, and then it was good to go. To have an even placement on my wall, I used a ruler and a level just to mark out where they would sit, because again, I'm nerdy like that and I just wanted a nice even modular design on my wall. Here are the final holders, and I did make an extra paint holder and rearrange them. And now the fun part is to organize all my paint and all my pens and put them back on the wall. I organize them by color or cool tones or warm tones, and I do like that there's a little area in the center for that odd marker that just doesn't fit anywhere. I wrap some in a rubber band to keep them all together, and that does make it easier if you need to grab a bunch of markers and go. I'm so happy I have these holders now that can organize my pens, and I really like the way they look, and I love that I can store them in a horizontal position because I do think that when you store them flat, it will prolong the life of your pens. I kept them white to kind of match the paint holders, but I might spray paint them in the future just to protect the cardboard a little bit more. If you make your own version, I would love to see your project pictures, so share those with me on my social links and add a hashtag #heysealemon. If you want to see how I've been organizing my gel pens, I will put that video right here, and you can also learn more about the paint and pens that I like to use in this video here. And those links will be down below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, heysealemon, and I will see you guys next week with a new video. Bye!